All right.
All
Welcome,
right.
everyone. Thank you for joining our Tech Talk. Today we have Mathew Perrow here with us. They're going to talk about Google Analytics 4. Make sure to leave your questions in the chat. We'll definitely get to it. But thank you for being here, Mathew, and take it away.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I know all of you are probably in different places in the boot camp with different skill sets or different career paths that you're looking into. But whatever you are looking into, whether it be software development or web development or any aspect of those things, you're going to be coming across setting up some sort of data collection technology or platforms. For websites specifically, typically there are a few other platforms, but Google Analytics is essentially the bread and butter of most web developers. And I'm an SEO manager. I suppose I should actually introduce myself. I'm an SEO manager. I graduated from the Tech Academy in 2017. And I found my way into SEO or search engine optimization kind of in a roundabout way with a individual that had she was a book author, and she wanted to improve her sales online, and so she needed a website redesign and needed some SEO work. I knew nothing about SEO. There's a lot of information online about it. You can teach yourself all of that pretty easily, I think. But improved her website, redesigned it, and then set up a lot of the SEO, best practices on her website, and it improved things dramatically for her. So that's kind of my step into SEO, and then that became a full-time job for me. So, and what that is, for those of you who don't know, is essentially improving or optimizing a website's structure, its content, its speed, and also doing a lot of data analysis with keywords and the things that people are searching for online, so that you can help improve pages and websites, domains, chances of showing up in Google search for specific keywords or terms, and helping improve either sales or just viewership, whatever it might be. So that's kind of how I got into SEO, and what SEO is. Part of that SEO, part of the aspect of SEO is analyzing traffic on a website, seeing where users are going, how they're getting there, where they're coming from, where they're going to if they're leaving the website, what buttons they're clicking on, possibly if there's any bottlenecks, and say if there's a website that's selling something and there's a bottleneck between when they're adding things to their cart and when they're checking out, or whether they're viewing items and not viewing other items. So there might be some navigational hurdles to go over. And so data analyzation in Google Analytics is really important to that. So I'm going to go over what Universal Analytics is, what the new platform GA4 is, and also how to set up GA4 on your website. I'm going to utilize WordPress for this. It's probably the most used CMS I think it's the most used CMS in the world. So there's a lot of useful plugins, and I'll show you all that stuff. But these are pretty easily configurable in most other CMSs. I know Shopify has like a native integration. A lot of CMSs have native integrations now too. So I'm going to get started. So GA4, Introduction to Google's New Analytics. I'm going to be covering the old paradigm of analytics, the key differences between GA4 and Universal Analytics, why GA4 is important, and then Universal Analytics to GA4 via Google Tag Manager. So what I'll be doing there is setting up GA4 on a website. I have a demo website I've spun up, and I'm going to do that via Tag Manager, and that's a useful tool for many reasons, and I'll get into that in a little bit here. And then I'm going to open it up to Q&A, where we'll probably spend a bit of time. I've done this 3 times now, and it seems like Q&A always just runs off. So we'll do that as well. So, excuse me. To get started, Google Analytics, for those of you who don't know, is a platform that allows users to track user behavior on their website, provides insights into their behavior and engagement on your website, where they also came from to get to your website. We call that attribution. I have different channels for that. And it was first introduced in 2005. Google bought a company called Urchin, and then incorporated Urchin into their whole ecosystem, and kind of rebranded their Urchin Analytics, or traffic, analyzation tool, to Google, and then called it Analytics. So since 2000, I believe 10 or 11, we've been utilizing Universal Analytics, which is it's a very easy user interface to use. It's very plug and play. But with that, there's very few customization. And at that time, we also had we had an issue with privacy laws that we started to look a little bit more closely at what kind of data was being collected via your visits to a website. And lawmakers, predominantly in Europe at first, began enacting laws that kind of prohibited data collection from an entity just visiting your website. So this is kind of an answer to some of those challenges. So first, Universal Google Analytics, as I just explained, is the place where website owners can track a variety of metrics, including the number of visits to their website, duration, the pages they visited, the actions taken when they're on the page, and it's really the standard that's been for the last, I guess, 10, 12, 13 years for marketers and website owners to navigate and to analyze the traffic that's been going to their web page, and try to make improvements based on that. But this data model is a little bit dated. So what they did is everything's session based in Google Analytics. You have a user that's visiting the website, and then Google says, great, this is a session. Now we're going to track everything based on that session. So with that, it didn't anonymize any of the information that was being collected by Google Analytics via the website and their behavior on the website. And so everything was treated as, this is your user, this is the session that user had, and that posed a problem for privacy concerns. And so what Google did is they developed GA4, which has a different model. Essentially, it's all events now, instead of just having a few events that you want to customize and track, maybe a link click or a download, or viewing a PDF or something like that on your website that you would do. Everything is now an event, instead of just those individual customizable events in Google Analytics. So it looks a little bit different. I'm going to get into the platform itself here in a moment, but Google Analytics is it's the latest version of web analytics platform. It's designed to provide a more comprehensive and user-centric view of a website and app analytics. Another thing with GA4 too is they were looking to have a platform that also was able to track user information or user behavior on both apps and your website at the same time, and have those both go to one place. So that was Google's answer to the problem with being able to track user data on apps, but also on the website as well. So this kind of combines those, and also uses machine learning to track user behavior cross-platform. So you visit a website on your phone, then later that day you visit a website on your tablet, and later that day you go on your laptop, you visit the website, you make a purchase. We're able to track the machine learning, all the gears and the Wizard of Oz in the background of Google Analytics is able to identify that as a user, anonymize the data, and then also identify that it's the same user on a different device, on a different platform, but visiting the same website or the same app. So that is really useful for a lot of marketers and business owners who both have an app and a website, and also want to track user behavior over cross-device. And so this data model is both the user obviously at the top, but now everything is an event. Page views are events. Everything is treated as an event. And within those events, there are parameters. So, for example, you add something to a cart on a website, there's now what's called a data layer that will basically take the product information from the product that you've just put into your add to cart or your website cart, and it says this has this is the name of the product, this is the category of the product, this is the price of the product, this is whether or not it's on sale right now. All that information is a parameter that can be pulled every time an event is fired, and so you can configure those and customize those to track different things on your website based on the user behavior on a website. I'm just using, I work a lot in Shopify right now, and user behavior when it comes to the shopping journey of a customer is very valuable to my clients. And so having the ability to track users both in their add to cart, remove to cart, they're going to checkout, they're purchasing something. There's certain things, there's gaps sometimes or bottlenecks within those things that we're able to now determine what products, what prices, all of those things now on Google Analytics or GA4, and it's all based on this event model. So why is GA4 important? The privacy concerns I talked about predominantly in Europe at first. People wanted their data anonymized, or they didn't want to be tracked when they go to a website. So cookies became an issue. Machine learning. There's a lot of GA4 incorporates machine learning into its reporting and analysis tools, and it provides businesses with advanced insights and recommendations. The machine learning on GA4 they can look at data of user behavior on a website and then make predictions based on the previous or historic data of what users are going to do in the future. So some of that machine learning is very useful in GA4 that Universal Analytics didn't have. And like I spoke about before, cross-device tracking. Mobile, you visit a website on a mobile device, your laptop, your work computer even. Google's GA4's machine learning is now able to identify that's the same user, it's the same person that jumped on that website, and now bundle that all into one user, as opposed to attempting to track people via cookies on specific platforms or devices. Now we can kind of view everyone that has all of these different devices that are looking at a website as one user. And then the advanced event tracking, I spoke about that a little bit before too. The ability to take different parameters from events on your website, user clicks or whatever it might be, and keep that data in GA4. Now on Connect and Connectology does make an important point here. With Universal Analytics, it was very user friendly. The GUI worked great, but it was very limited. So what he says is Google has moved their analytics product from something easy to use by everyone, but with limitations to a product that is more tailored to analytics professionals, where it offers far more customization and flexibility. However, sadly, this takes its use out of the hands of small businesses who wanted to do the analytics themselves. So GA4 is a much more complex, customizable platform. It's actually going to be the only one that you can use come July of this year. They're sunsetting Universal Analytics. So you're going to see a lot of companies scrambling that haven't had development resources to make this switch over from Universal Analytics to GA4. A lot of people are going to be scrambling, I'm assuming, in the next couple of months to get on GA4 because they're sunsetting the Universal Analytics platform. So migrating from Universal Analytics to Google Tag Manager. And I'm going to share a different part of my screen here. Just a moment. Just a moment, guys, sorry. All right, so now we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of this. I've created a demo site on WordPress. This is very little to no content, basically one link on the home page that goes to another page. It's also a template page, so a lot of lorem ipsum stuff going on. But if we go to the website, whoops. Come on now. There we go. So demo restaurant, we've got one link here, or one button, and it's view our menu. So I have created, first I guess I should talk about GA4 here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my whole screen with everyone. All right, can everyone see that split screen there?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So Google Tag Manager is essentially it's a place, a repository for a lot of different tracking platforms to be able to drop script on your site and track either user behavior. You can have Google ads on there, or Facebook ads, or what's called a Facebook pixel that you can put on your website that essentially allows advertisers to see it, gain some insights into how users are behaving via the ads that they've been linking to your website. So for example, you visit a website and you visit it through a Google or say a Facebook ad. You go to a product page, you view the product, you view similar products, but then you back out and you're no longer looking at that website anymore. You're doing more research. Facebook's pixel will be able to see that. They'll be able to develop an audience that you're a part of, and then start marketing towards you in a retargeting ad. So around similar products that you may have viewed on that website. Or there's the add to cart. There's different steps in all the in those shopping processes, but it allows insight into those advertising platforms to specify exactly what should be marketed to you based on your behavior on websites, apps, platforms. So it provides a lot of insight into user behavior on your website or app. So Google Tag Manager is essentially a place where you can drop all of those different scripts, or all of those what we call tags in. It's a platform where you can drop all of that in and then drop one piece of script on your website that then manages all of those different platforms. You can even do something called Hotjar, which is heat mapping on your website. Or you can track whether or not somebody scrolled so far, clicked on this, where they spent most of their time on a specific page. But all of that can live here. And one of the things that you can set up with this is Google Analytics, and it also allows you to create custom events that can be then pushed to Google Analytics or GA4, and more, I guess, more granularly collect data on the traffic or behavior of your users. So so first, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to set up Google Analytics. So this is GA4. This is the way Google Analytics looks. We've got the UA code here identifies a Universal Analytics property, and Universal Analytics is set up with accounts, properties, and then with Universal Analytics it was views. With GA4, we're just on properties. There's no views customization. We actually use something called data streams instead, and they're all encapsulated within the property of GA4. So I've got, by proxy is my company name. I've got website GA4 just to identify that it is GA4. And to get this set up on Google Tag Manager, I'm going to go ahead and just pause these things for now. We've set up a property. So this is a GA4 property. We want to go into data streams, or set up our data stream, really. and see the measurement ID, which is right here. And this is going to be the ID that we drop in Google Tag Manager for GA4. So what I'm going to do is just create another tag. Okay. On here. Does anyone have any questions or hands raised so far? Are we good?
I think we're good so far.
Okay. So I have paused all of these tags in Google Tag Manager. I'm going to create a new tag. I'm going to call it GA4. Well, there's featured, so GA4 configuration is what it is. And then that measurement ID that I grabbed from here in the data stream is going to be the one that I drop into here. And you can either drop it into here, or you can, if you think that there's going to be, if there is multiple, you can also do some regex things they're going to get more complicated. But you can either drop the measurement ID in here, or I'll go ahead and then the trigger should be all pages as well, because we want it to fire on every page. So you can just drop that in there, or you can go to variables and you can create a new user-defined variable and have a constant, which is just going to have a value that stays that way, but you can interchange that value if you want, or have multiple variables for that. And then you can save it as a constant. And then in here, instead of measurement ID, we would actually call constant, which is right here. What was the question? Let's see. Multiple properties in a specific situation. Also, yes to specific recommendations for SEO and GA classes resources. Yeah, of course. I will drop those. The specific resources I'll go ahead and send over after the talk. I've got a list of those things, so I'll go ahead and make sure that that's available for you. So organizing multiple properties in a specific situation, I organize accounts based on this is the company. The properties are the websites or the apps. And in Universal Analytics, you would have different views that might be segmented into US users, European users, or a specific subset of users that you want to track specifically, and you could have different views for those. With GA4, you're going to have data streams. So I would organize maybe an app in a data stream if there's a company that has an app, and in another data stream, I would put their website. And that's the way I would organize as far as a hierarchy goes. Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Let me actually allow you to unmute the mic. All right, you're good to go. Just make sure I unmute. Perfect.
Yeah, hi, thanks. So the specific situation is I've got like sort of multiple companies that are their own entities under one umbrella company. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering, because I know there's like the organization level, and then the account, and then the property level. I'm sort of wondering about how best to do that. Like they each operate independently, but and so I may want some people to have access to certain properties, but not others. It's all it's all websites. There's no apps. So
if you're in here and you want to, I'm under all accounts here, and I'm saying this is the account I'll be using by proxy SEO. If I go into, let's say, GA4 and go to admin, I can say I want to account access management for the account itself, and I can add users there and give different permissions, or I can do property access management for a specific property within that account. And I would say the websites are going to be the properties. The account itself is going to be the company, and all of that actually is under the umbrella of a Google profile that you'll be giving access to the account from. So I would say from a business entity, you have the account properties. You can manage users within each property and give them different permissions. And And then also within that as well, I don't think you can manage the user properties for data streams. No, I don't think that you can do that, but yeah, that's how. Does that answer your question?
Well, maybe can I tell you what I think I understood, and you tell me if
Sure.
I'm right or not? So it sounds to me like the sort of hierarchy would be like on the smaller level, you've got a data stream that's from a particular website.
Right.
That goes up to an account for one of our companies.
A property.
I'm sorry, yeah.
That's
property. And then, no, I guess my question is whether each of these individual companies should have their, like, should it be like each one definitely has an account, and then
each one has an account, I would say. If you can segment it more, it's better, and you have more granularization with user management.
Okay. And should those accounts, all of them, if there's 8 of them, be under one account above that, or is it just, or is that just under the profile?
That's kind of situational, I think, but I would recommend the more for one company or one entity having multiple accounts or accounts for their brands, if that's what you're specifying, or their companies within the subsidiaries over the umbrella company. Those would all be properties, and then from there you would have your data streams for each of those properties.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, and I appreciate everyone's patience for the very specific question.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So setting up, so I've got that constant there, but it can also just be the configuration or measurement ID rather. So I've got this running right now, or the tag is active as of a few seconds ago. Here, there's different workspaces, so you have versions of your workspace, and you need to publish and submit it. Typically, I'll have a description and a little bit of version information on what's going on. There's changes down here, shows you what you've done. So I'm going to go ahead and publish that. And then I think the most universal way for everyone, because there's going to be a lot of different CMSs that you're utilizing. You're not always going to have the ability to download a plugin into a WordPress website. You're going to have a piece of script here for Google Tag Manager that you can copy and place in the head of your website, and it should go on every page of your website. So you're going to grab this. And in my instance, since I'm using WordPress and I'm not using any theme editor stuff, I've downloaded a code snippets plugin that allows me to access the header and the footer. And here you can see there is already Google Tag Manager in there, and you can double check the GTM code is the same as the GTM code that's right here. So that's going to be the identifying the code that goes for any GTM account. So that's where that goes. I'm going to make sure to save the changes and then jump into analytics. Well, actually, first you're going to jump into Google Tag Manager, and you're going to make sure that it's working. You do that via preview. That doesn't affect the website at all, and you're able to go in and see what tags are firing and what tags are not firing. So this is the demo restaurant. It's on the preview mode or tag assistant mode. And I can go in here and see that the Google Analytics GA4 configuration 1 tag has fired. So that's what we want to see there. And that's going to be, the measurement ID is constant. So that's correct. So great, that's working. So now Google Analytics is able to gather data. And here we have real time. I'll go ahead and just see if that will work or not. And It may take a couple of minutes for it to work, so I might not be able to.
No worries. There's actually a few questions
Oh
in
yeah,
the chat. Also, are you able to make that screen bigger?
yeah.
The
I can
Google
actually
Analytics?
just let me do this instead, and maybe make this a little bit bigger. Is this okay? It kind of makes it hard to see all of the information, but this is the GA4 GUI or platform.
Okay,
Let's
perfect.
see.
I think at the beginning, Paul also had a question. It says, will it be going over the linking of GAU data streams to GA4?
GAU data streams.
Yeah,
GAU
on that, Paul, that'd be
Universal
great.
Analytics, or I'm not sure what GAU is. Google Analytics is GA, and then I guess UGA would be Universal Google Analytics. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are actually, it's kind of funny you ask that. Google has developed, they've done this thing where you go to, I'm just going to get out of analytics and go back to it. I think it should pop up. And it'll ask me if I want to migrate from Universal Analytics to the new GA4 Analytics. So this is a pretty useful prompt if you're already in Universal Analytics and you want to take the same configuration details that you've got in Universal Analytics and place those in GA4, then you can do that pretty easily with this. And I'm not going to do this right now because I've already set up GA4 and I want to configure it a little bit differently than just a really kind of canned migration. But this should work pretty well for most people. There might be some e-commerce websites that require a little bit more configuration, especially with the events and determining what parts of the data layer that you want to grab in those events. But this is a useful tool. Yes, exactly. When custom events and metrics are used, it's not as useful, and it can't actually configure it. There's those custom ones that you already may have in Google Tag Manager. It's not going to be able to customize those or configure those into your new GA4 configuration. So I'm going to skip those for now. But both of these kind of live side by side. So they're both grabbing data. Well, actually, they will because I don't. I have the Google Analytics, Universal Analytics paused right now, but you can have two tags running, one for GA4, one for Universal Analytics. And so Universal Analytics tag now is running. So the event that I wanted to run through really quickly is just a view our menu. So event that tracks clicks specifically to view our menu. So the way I'm going to do that is going into Google Tag Manager and creating a new tag. Let's get there. So a new tag, and that's going to be a GA4 event. And we want to map that to GA4 configuration 1, and that's because I've just paused the other GA4 configuration. So we want to be using the GA4 configuration 1. So that's kind of what we're tying this event to. If we were utilizing Universal Analytics, I'd be utilizing Universal Analytics, but GA4 is the one I want to use. And I'll just call it menu button click. There we go. And we want to trigger this. I already have one here, but I want to create one custom for everyone. So we right click, and there's a lot of useful tools in Google Chrome and a lot of other web browsers, but one of them is inspect or view page source. I use that a lot as well. But within here, I can see exactly what is in this view our menu. And I can say to, so it says view our menu, great. So what I want to do is take, say this class Sometimes there'll be an ID. I think that I might be able to actually create an ID really quickly for you. Let me see. So this, uh, so I could add some just inline code here. Edit as HTML. So within this, I want to have an ID as well. When I go menu button, cool. So now it has an ID of menu button, which specifies specifically what that element is, as opposed to a class that can envelop a lot of other different elements on your in HTML. Yeah, I know it is, but that's fine. I'll update it. All right, so I'll go back to my site. And I will reload it. And now I should be seeing an ID of menu button right here. So we can now utilize that ID. I'm gonna just copy and paste that now while I'm here. And I'm gonna drop that down. And I can make that a part of a trigger, a new trigger. And triggers are going to be the things where you have an event that you've created in Google Tag Manager, right? And you want to send that event information to Google Analytics. You now need to identify when that event is fired. So you need a trigger for that event. And that can be a lot of different things. There can be, for a trigger, you can have a page view. So you can identify a specific page that you want to map an event to. You can have scroll depth. You can have whether or not they've submitted a form. You can have a lot of different ways. You can have a custom event, which is what I'm actually I'm going to do all elements, but custom event is actually in the data layer, which I can go over here in a moment. Yeah, so I'm going to go all elements, and I'm going to say some clicks, not all clicks, of click ID contains menu button. And I'm saying contains not exactly because it's typically if you have contains an ID, it's there's a little bit more variation you can do. You can add things to the ID and have multiple things fire events, but we're going to say contains menu button, and that trigger is going to be the menu button click trigger. Right, so now tag configured to a GA4 event. We've identified which configuration of GA4 we want that tag mapped to, and we also have an event name for it, and it's triggered to the menu button click trigger. So we also have to name the tag. I'm just going to be very generic and say menu button click and save that. So now when we go to analytics, GA4, oh wait, first we got to publish. Forgot about that. Actually, no, I'm going to go into preview because preview takes into account everything that's not published. So you can be making changes in Google Tag Manager and then go to preview and see whether or not the tag that you just created and the trigger that you've just created fires correctly on the website. So I'm going to go ahead and connect. I've got it opens up the website, but it also opens this Tag Manager Assistant. So right now I've got two tag, Google Analytics tag, which is for universal analytics firing. And I also have GA4 configuration firing. Those two tags should fire every time there's a page hit. So that's two tags that have fired that I want to be fired. So this is the testing environment for this. And I'll click on view our menu and it takes me to this other page. I only have 2 pages on this website. But here you can see the menu button clicks now fired. And that now that information, that event will be shown in Google GA4. So I'll show you this in a real world setting of Google Analytics now that it's mapped out and I know that that trigger fires. I can go into reports. I can go to engagement, which is where events and conversions and all of those things, you can get a little more granular with the data. Actually, you know what? That's all 30 minutes or later. So I want to actually go real time. Apologize. So right now what we've seen is there's one page view, there's one session start, and there's one bit of user engagement. User engagement can be anything from clicking on something within a website or scrolling down on a website, but that essentially gives Google the indication that you're an active user, not just somebody who clicks on it and gets the heck out right away. So you're engaged and you're an active user. So this is event count by event name. So this is where we're going to see menu click event popping up. And that is configured by this menu button click. So we're going to go to reload the website. Shows that I am in Portland. I am the only one on this website. There should be one more page view that pops up just to know that it's working. Session start shouldn't change. And I'll get out of this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just click on it and see if it pops up. So this is live in Google Analytics, and it's tracking the behavior on the website through Google Tag Manager. That Tag Manager tag has been triggered by that event of clicking on it, and now it's transferring or pushing the data to Google Analytics and adding it to my event count whenever it pops up. Sherry, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use it if it's any bigger. Anything that I do is going to make it really tough to use. I would recommend viewing the recording, and you can probably zoom in via the recording. Apologize for that. So it's not actually showing up. I love technical difficulties. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to pause. Let's see, this one and this one. I'm going to restart the ones that I had before of menu button click and universal analytics, and that one's already running great. So we're going to go ahead and start, make sure those are running. I'm going to submit and publish. All right, so I will go back to the home page. It should register another page view. You gotta love when things don't work when you get on a meeting. It might be because I've just paused and turned back on, and it oftentimes takes. Sometimes it takes a little time for it to reconfigure or set itself up and say, "Hey, we're actually collecting data again." And I'm still not seeing any movement.
That's all good. This usually
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, that's all right. I guess. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Area 5 Technologies. Gotcha. um, so yes, under event name here, what we would see is this tag menu button link click at Google Analytics for event. We would see this running, and it would say menu button click. It's not, I still want it to work. Well, what you would see here is menu button link click under event name, and it probably won't start for a little while then, because it's just been turned off and turned back on, and I didn't actually account for that being an issue for this presentation. But I'll run through Google Analytics or GA4 a little bit first. It is a little bit harder to find information than in Universal Analytics, and it does take a little bit more know-how and fishing around finding things on GA4 than it did on Universal Analytics. But the three categories that they broke things down into are acquisition, which is where you're getting your traffic from that goes to your website. So you're going to see an overview of, there's not going to be, actually, I'll go to a demo account here we can look at, Google Merge Shop. And under acquisition overview, you're going to see users in the last 20 minutes, what country they came from, the first user default. So this is going to be what platform the user was on last before they got to the website. And direct happens to be the most. So direct is going to be typing in the URL or visiting or a bookmark. Organic search being search, cross network. Not entirely sure what cross network is. I don't often see that. Page search is obviously Google Ads, things like that. Referral is going to be coming from another domain to your domain, so it's a backlink from their domain to yours. And whether or not sessions, Google Ads campaign, they obviously have Google Ads that are configured into this, and then another sessions by default channel grouping rather than new users. So it's broken out into users and sessions as dimensions. Engagement is going to be your events, conversions, the pages, and all the information about the behavior on those pages. So here we've got the top pages and screens and a number of users that visit there. The event count. Here we've got event names such as, we can view the events. Predicted top spenders, view cart. We can see people who viewed the cart, and then within that, there's parameters, so page title, page location, all of that. So that is going to be where the events, which is technically what everything is now in GA4, an event no longer really tied to sessions. And then monetization, e-commerce purchases. So if you've got to say a Shopify website and you're selling shoes to people, somebody buys some shoes, you can see how much value or total, I guess I don't have any in here, total, the purchase value. So you can kind of track all of how the store is performing essentially, based on, you can categorize it by organic search or maybe paid social, organic social, however you like to organize it, and segment out how different sources or attribution channels are working. So let's go back and see if my analytics instance is gathering data. We'll go to real time, demo restaurant, and view our menu. And see if it's gathering data yet. Nope, just one page view. All right. Well, we can go ahead and jump into Q&A, and I will see if this pops up. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. I hadn't anticipated being disenabling the tags and triggers, and then trying to recreate them would cause a little bit of a gap in the reporting. So I apologize for that it's not coming through exactly how I would have liked it. So yeah, any questions I can go through?
Let's see. So I know that people earlier asked about some resources where they can,
Right.
learn more about GA4. I think it was Jacob who started asking this question. Okay, assuming most people have little experience with SEO and Google Analytics on an enterprise level, what classes, resources would you recommend for future education, like any Udemy courses, any YouTube channels, podcasts, etc.?
I think that so a good place to start, just to understand, it's a very high level overview, but University Analytics Academy, I think they used to call it university, and you can take courses on Google Analytics for beginners or advanced power users. 360 is a paid analytics. It's a little bit different. You have availability of BigQuery and things like that. You can take your information from analytics and drop into a giant database and start tearing it apart and using it that way. But there are Google Tag Manager fundamentals, Data Studio. One thing I should add is for GA4, if you're in charge, say, of the traffic, monitoring the traffic and showing key performance indicators to clients or invested parties, I would definitely recommend not utilizing GA4 for your visualization of those things. I would use Google Data Studio and connect your GA4 to Google Data Studio, and then you can have a little bit more customization for what you want to be showing. You can create filters, you can show a lot of different metrics and organize those by dimensions in Google Data Studio, and I use that for all of my clients. I never show them GA4 really. I just connect everything to GA4, and then that just lives in the background. And I think that's kind of generally what Google's wanting to do now, is they want people to be using Google Data Studio for their reporting and not so much GA4, because the GUI is very difficult to use for anyone other than a power user, really. And trade marketeer. There was one other YouTube. I'll go ahead and send over links, actually, and rather than just jumping on here and showing you guys.
Perfect. Just got in a new question. Have we already covered when we use Universal versus GA4?
Universal now, because it's being sunsetted in July of this year, I wouldn't even recommend setting up Universal Analytics at all. I would just go directly GA4. And there's another easier way to do GA4 rather than going through Google Tag Manager. I know Google Tag Manager allows you to customize things and create more, you can configure things a little bit easier, but you can also just connect your website via their little thing here, where you can say, I want to where is it? Configure tag settings. and then you can set up things with their online instructions here as well. That's weird. So yeah, to answer your question, don't use universal. It's no longer really applicable. They're sunsetting it.
Got it.
Anything else?
And then I think that was pretty much it. Trademark keep
We got Jacob
had
here.
a question, but I think Paul shared Google support answer. Oh, looks like, let's say you were to start from, go for it.
You see, yeah, let's say you were to start from scratch with the knowledge you have, but not the connections trying to find a new job. Are there any resources you recommend to use yourself besides LinkedIn, Slack channels, Discord, Slack? Resources that I'd recommend to use. So LinkedIn being a social media platform, Slack being a communication platform, so is Discord. I would say those aren't really applicable, but finding a new job, the way I did it, it was very difficult, I will say, right after graduating. It took me a few months. But what I did is I found a client that I was able to do something for, use my knowledge that I'd gained at the Tech Academy, and then use that to, like, I used a number of like 2,300% of revenue increase over the a 3-month period after I'd redesigned her website and done SEO on her website. So, and that was an accurate figure. That's a huge number, and that's something that I can say, I did this. I improved someone's website this way, and I put that on my resume, and I used it all over the place. So that helped me get my foot in the door. And I know it is tough to get your foot in the door when the job experience isn't there. The knowledge might be there, but the job experience isn't there. So a lot of people, it's kind of taking a chance sometimes. So I know that can be difficult.
All right. Also, is your LinkedIn a good place for people to connect with you in case there are other questions that come up?
Yeah, LinkedIn's a good place. I think I probably check it weekly. So yeah, LinkedIn's a good place.
Have it right here so I can share it with everyone. And then also I'm going to reshare, as you guys know, we're recording. I'm going to share the link to the YouTube, to our YouTube channel. It should be under the Tech Talk playlist. I'm going to post it there later today, maybe Monday, but I'll try my best to post it later today. And here's a link for that. And as of right now, I don't have any one lined up for next week's Tech Talk, but I'll keep you guys updated. Keep an eye out for my email. But other than that, if there are no questions, then this is pretty much the end of the talk. And thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us and giving a presentation. And I hope everyone has a happy Friday.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matthew. Have a good weekend.